here. It apparently I had to check for an update. It said there was one available. I installed it and it started working again. I don't know what was going on. It never gave me any messages. So, well, oh well, let's see. Yeah, let's see. What am I doing? I've lost, let's see, if I merge, pop that out. Okay, now I don't see. What would it show me? Oh, there. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Now I got everybody. Uh, okay, yeah. Apparently they let you in. Apparently it decides to put you in a waiting room. So I found that out. Okay, so I think we're good. We're recording. I will allow sharing. And off we go. Well, first of all, how are you? How's your wife?
I'm okay. She's okay, except she still can't smell or taste anything.
Oh, that's too bad.
And
You know,
some memory issues. She has what she calls COVID brain.
yeah, I've got some of that myself. Um, I saw an interesting little video clip somebody sent me the other day, and I started watching it, and it was this British accented woman, and she was talking about how they got a lot of these false positive tests and stuff, and said you have to do all this testing at home, and she recommended, taking a glass of wine if you can smell it, and then take the test a little further, see if you can taste it, and then do that 40 or 50 times a day. So she was pretty sure she didn't have it. So, but it's about the way I feel sometimes. It's a little overwhelming. All righty, let's
It is,
see.
and there's no end in sight.
I know, I know. Don't know what's going on, and now we're getting all these competing vaccines. I don't know what's going to go on with that. So, like, which one do you get? Uh, yeah,
I suspect that we won't have much choice at the end of the day.
I think
Either,
you're right.
either take it or not take it. That'll be the choice.
Yeah. I know, but which one are they going to give us, or do you just go to your local pharmacy and take whichever one they decide?
I suspect that's what'll happen.
Yeah. So, oh well. Oh well. What's one more thing to do, I guess. All right, let's see. Let's do
Well, I
this.
have a mess here.
Pardon? You have your mask?
I have a mess. MESS.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And this started out as a just a field surveying job. Uh,
Hmm.
3 existing lots, find the corners, stake out the septic reserve areas, stake out the well sites, and stake out the BRLs.
Okay.
And then it involved some more stuff. Turned out he had to build a guardrail and had to stake that out too. And then he has 3 houses under construction, 3 lots. And the bank came back and said, we need a foundation location survey to give you your draw. So he's panicked because he's got a lot of money in the ground and he can't get a draw until he has 3 plats.
Okay.
Um,
Wow. So we need them pretty quick. Yep.
yeah,
All right. Well, let's whip one out of here pretty quick. Um, which we can do. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and stop our video just to get some bandwidth, and I'll let you share your screen and then talk me through what's going on. Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yes,
I
sir.
can't I can't tell. It's a completely different zoom uh,
Huh.
screen on my other screen. Okay, well, I have three lots. The plots need to be 8.5 by 14.
Okay.
I've never gone an 8.5 by a 14 plat before. And because I never anticipated, I've been working this morning trying to get this cleaned up a little bit, and I just realized I haven't got the lots drawn completely right, but uh, I can work on that a lot by myself if you can help me get set up here.
All
I've
righty.
got I've got two deadlines so I'm working on. This one was a surprise deadline. I didn't know it was coming. And then there's another deadline. I've got to have another concept plan done by next Wednesday.
All right.
And
Is
that's what I hoped we'd work on Thursday, but I don't know how much of this will get done.
okay. Well, let's see if we can get you where you need to be. So, um, what you have, I'm looking at is, uh,
Well, I'm going to have to go back and fix the houses too. They obviously problem that I've discovered is when you shoot with the reflectorless EDM,
uh-huh.
sometimes you're measuring the distance to something other than what you're looking at,
Huh.
and you get weird uh,
Yeah,
results.
yeah, like that kind of
That,
stuff. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well,
but I'll have to fix that. Uh,
okay. So what we need to do then is basically put each of these three properties into an 8.5 by 14.
yes.
Okay. So that part will be pretty straightforward. Um,
I'm glad you think so.
no, no, not really. It will be. I want to keep you encouraged because what we're going to do is basically come down here to this layout tab and we're going to have three sheets and we'll have, call them, I don't know, parcel A, B, and C, whatever.
Well, lots one,
So,
two, and three.
okay. So 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to draw each of those into its own little title block and frame. So once we get all of the title block information placed, um, then we'll just copy it for the next layout and we'll just shift the model underneath it within that viewport so you can get that centered up and then we'll label it accordingly, okay?
Okay.
And then what would so once we get that done, then I'm going to let you go back and fix up these little things with the houses and
Right.
stuff like that. So you can take care of those cosmetics and the model. And then when you go back to these layouts, they're going to work just fine. They'll update themselves. So the first thing we'll do is let's go back, and while this is open, we're going to also open one of these other sheets is that we did have a layout on, like Summit View or
Crawford is probably the most current one.
this one. Okay. So I'll go to that and we've got here this layout. Now, this layout is, if we recall, I'll look at our page setup, and this is that 17 by 22. So what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to take this layout and bring it into our new drawing here. And then we'll change the sizes and we'll change the border so it fits within the sides of that page and all of that kind of stuff. And then we'll copy, the things that we need, we'll leave on there, and the things that we don't, we'll take away. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to go to our manager here. It's called Layer Control,
Yeah.
but it is our IntelliCAD Explorer. You see this up here?
Yeah.
And it starts off with layers, but we also have layouts. And there's that layout right there called Merger Plat. Now to get that into our drawing, the Lutman Anglers Glen, we'll just open that plus mark. And then we're going to take this and we're going to drag it and drop it right there. Okay. So now we go back to, we can close this. And if we go back to our Anglers Glen drawing, we see we have this now.
Yeah.
Now, this is a viewport, remember, and remember what viewports do. They look into the model. So there's nothing in this particular viewport because that's looking, you know, over wherever that other one was. So that's no problem. We're going to resolve all that when we get ready to put this into its place. But the first thing we're going to do is we can take actually this Crawford drawing and close it now. We don't need it anymore. So we have taken that layout and called it merger plat. So let's start with the first thing to do is, well, actually, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this one called layout 1, just to keep it clean. Now, the next thing to do is let's name this whatever we want to name it. And then lot 1, and we'll call it 8. I don't know if it lets us use a decimal or not, but let's say 8.5 by 14. Okay. Okay, it did. All right. In fact, just for clarity's sake, we'll put a little space there. All right, so that, and so once we get this one set up, we'll make 2 more copies and we'll just slide the model over for each one. So let's get the first one set up like we need. So the first thing to do next, wow, that's bad grammar. The next thing to do, how's that? Not the first thing to do next, is I'm going to go to the page setup and we're going to choose modify and we're going to change that size to an 8.5 by 11. Okay, so we're going to find one of these
11 or 14?
I'm sorry, 14. So we're going to find this going to be a, here's an 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 11. All right, it's probably going to be, I don't see it there. All right, so we'll need
so,
to,
because that's legal size.
yeah.
Technically, I could make it 8.5 by 11. I don't know that anybody would complain about it. But.
Well, we'll find a legal, we can do a legal size and get it exactly 8.5 by 11 because I think you've got some long, you know, your lots are sort of long. So I think what we'll do is we'll do that. So now here's what's going on in this drawing to PDF printer definition. It is what holds all of these defined sheets. Well, we don't have that legal or letter or any of that. It's got these in terms of drawing sizes like A, B, C, and D. And 8.5 by 14 is not one of those.
Right.
And so we need to make a new one. So I'm going to go to my properties button here. I think I can do it here. And we'll go to settings. And let's see, it doesn't let me change anything there, but I'll go to custom and see if I can do custom properties. Is this showing up on the other screen, by the way, by any chance?
No.
Huh. All right. See, some of the drivers will have a button that says custom paper size, and it's not letting us do it with that driver. Okay, so no problem. Let's go to, instead of using that driver, let's try this one. Microsoft Print to PDF because it has all of these different standard paper sizes. We'll just choose legal and we'll keep it landscape. We will keep your monotone grayscale. We'll keep it 1:1. And I'm going to make this for now 0:0 to see where it puts our page. And I'm going to say, okay, now you're going to see when this happens, you see where the page changed sizes?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see what this corner is. That's actually at 0:0. So it's got a little bit of a margin, but that's fine. So if I want that to be right on 0:0, I need to sort of see what that distance is. And unfortunately, you can't snap to the corner of this piece of paper. So this is from here to here. The distance in X is 0.12 and the distance in Y is 0.12. So when we go back to this page setup, modify, we're going to make the origin of that piece of paper. And I think it is this way. I think we put in a negative 0.12. If not, we'll make it positive. And we'll say, okay, and let's close and let's, yep, see that put it back to 0:0. All right. And then there's this dashed line is showing you the actual margins that it can't print inside of. So that'll give you a little bit of a border.
Okay.
All right. So now we need to take anything and everything that we want out of this and shrink it down and put it to where it fits within this 8.5 by 14. Okay. So, obviously this, all right, see this piece of text that's like it's an 1/8 of an inch tall.
Okay, now on a foundation location plat, I don't need that block of revisions. I can remove that entirely if that helps.
So we can get rid of, say, this, at least this much of it.
Yeah.
All right. You're going to need your stamp at some place, probably, right, in the certification?
I don't need the certification, at least not that one. I need the stamp and I need my signature and the date.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep that handy here in a minute. Maybe we'll stick it over in the corner. Will you need a legend?
No, because I'm not going to label any. I mean, I'm going to show property corners, but I'm not going to identify what they are.
Okay.
Just going to show a circle there.
All right. And you can do that just by showing it. You don't have to tell it what it is or anything, right?
Right.
Okay. So we'll get rid of that. And let's see, what is that? Is that spreadsheet link. We don't need that. And if we do, we'll get a new one. Same thing with this one, I think. Yep. Okay.
Some notes, just not necessarily those notes.
Sure. All right. So I'm going to, all right. So you don't need a particular stated certification, right? You just need this stuff.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to edit this and take, whoops, I'll edit this. And well, let's do it from here then. What's going on? There we go. All right. And then we're going to just move those to where they are. Well, I guess they were above it. Tell you what, let's do this easier this way.
Now, you know, one thing I'm going to need that might be appropriate to put above that is the Shep surveying, uh, the, that stuff over there.
Okay. This is hard. I can't see where the cursor is. There we go. Now let's take these. Those. Uh, tell you what, we'll let me get this a little bit up like this. Now, to save a little bit of room here, okay. Then we'll move that in relation to your stamp. And I'm going to try to sort of keep this stuff as sort of compacted as I can, so we're not taking up quite, you know, all the room that we have available. I think that's okay there. All right, so then we can get rid of this. Oop, sorry, I see what we can get rid of this, actually. But we do want that. And I think what I'll do is just copy that. And then we'll come back and put it into this. like that. And whoops. Then we'll move and like that. There we go. All right, so now we can get rid of this. This you may want to keep. We'll put it wherever we want it to go. Do we need an owner's statement at all?
Nope,
Okay.
not for this. Don't need anything to do with the planning commission.
All right.
We don't need a bar scale.
What are you going to do for your scale?
Just put scale.
State it like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll need the date. I guess we will need that stuff somewhere.
Yeah, this stuff we'll keep that and just tag that into the corner of the sheet. We'll have some type of a title. Now this title, if I look at that, that's that's pretty good sized text. That's 0.38 inches. So that's over a third of an inch tall. So, we may want to cut that down to say 0.2, to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now these are all individual sheets or pieces of text, looks like, yeah. All right, so I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to put that into a single bit of text. Let's see if I can find the tool. Process group. Select. I'll get this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then be done. Combine on the same row. Nope. All right, so now we've got, this is all a piece of text. We'll change its height. There it is to 0.25. Let's make it 0.2. And then let's also, well, easier than doing it that way. Let's do it here. We'll justify it as top and center. Trying to get the frame straightened or stretched back so it's not taking up quite so much. Oops. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we'll edit that as to whatever we need. Say plat of survey. Let's maybe make that height 1/8 of an inch, except for the first line. We'll now edit this and change that to be 0.185. Let's say a little bit.
I didn't get that.
Oh.
Could you try again?
Shut up, Siri. All right. So we'll call that plat of survey. And something like that. And we'll edit that as we need in a little bit. It's looks like there's maybe some space. All right, so that's all centered. So we're going to take this and just sort of tuck it down here out of the way for the moment. You said you didn't need the bar scale, right? And we can always go over and grab one later if we need it, if we find out that we need it. Now, we've got this, which is a joiner text. This is a joiner text, so I can get rid of all of that. What is this? A joiner. All right, so I'm just going to copy, or I'm just going to move this over to here in case we need to borrow one. We'll come back and grab it. This, we'll do the same thing. We'll put it over here in case we need to grab it. See, what I'm doing is I'm trying to reuse, as much of this stuff as I can. But I also want to clear it out of the way. So I've got samples over here that will go and copy. And we got a note, we've got a north arrow.
It would be a different note on the north arrow, but we still need the north arrow.
Okay. So we'll leave that there for the moment, and we'll change its orientation, of course. We need to do that now. To fit the sheet, these sheet borders, now that is just a polyline. So what kind of border, what kind of margins do you need? Does it stipulate?
No, that doesn't matter. This is just for a bank.
Okay.
They're just going to put it, it's not going to be recorded. They're just going to put it in the file somewhere and forget about it.
All right. But even at that, you want it to look sort of nice, but you don't need 1-inch borders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an inside frame, and I'm going to start it from, I'm going to give it just 2/10 or maybe 1/4 inch. So from the X direction of, or from the X location of 0.25, 1/4 inch to the right of 0, 0, and 1/4 inch up. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I want to do a 1/2 inch just as a binder on the left only. And now I'm going to take it up to 8.5 by 14. So it's 14 to the, in the X direction to the right. So that's going to be 13.75. And 8.5 is going to be 8.25. Okay. So now you see where that sits within the page, right? So that gives, now, if we find we need it, we can expand that out a little bit. So right now that's a 1/4 inch. So it looks like you've got some margins out here. It'll go almost to the edge of the paper, and we can still do that if we need it.
You know what I'm realizing here is that they're going to expect to see this oriented like it's a page in a book. With the 8.5 being the width and the
so it needs to be in portrait mode instead of landscape mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I should have.
No, it's quite all right. It's quite easy to do. We'll just do it right here. We'll right click that, page setup. We'll modify that and we'll change it from landscape to portrait, and that'll fix that. And there it is. So now the only thing we need to do for that is simply change this rectangle so that this goes from, we're still starting down here, and that gives them a little bit of a binding edge if they ever, I know they don't really need to do that, but now instead of going to that corner where it is now at 13 3/4 by 8 1/4, we're going to click on it, and actually, no, we're not. We're just going to draw a new one. It's going to be easier. So I'll start here. And I'm going to go to, this time, X will be 8 1/4 and Y will be 13 3/4. Okay. And then I'll get rid of this guy. So now this we no longer need. Let's get it out of the way so we're not confused by it. This, which includes your stamp, this note, and place for your signature and date, I'm going to take that and actually make a group out of it. So I can I was trying to find where they put that as a command. I don't see it, but I could type the command, or let's just leave it alone. We'll just move it as long as we've, as long as we select everything we need, we'll be all right with it. Whoops, I don't need that other stick. There we go. Now we'll just move that. And we'll tuck that. Would it typically go there?
That would typically go against the other side.
Over like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Would it, would, to save room, could it do something like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, we need more room to get the date in there, so we'll raise that up a little, like so. And it's not letting me change that. Unless I missed doing something. Maybe I must have missed it. All right, now. I think I'll keep this on with notes, and I'm going to draw lines for your signature right here. And we will give that and do that. And I'll copy from here to here. And I'll now move that from here to here. And we'll shorten this up. Oop, not like that. Let's just do it like this. All right. And all of that will move in like this. Okay. So let's move this. Would you want a line over the top of this for your title information at all, or do you need it, or just leave it? So,
Don't need it. It doesn't look bad.
all right. Well, let's put it down here and wait and see what all we get in and get involved in. We'll scoot it up if we need to.
Okay.
And then this stuff. Would that typically go like here?
Yeah. Well, it could go, actually, it could go on the left if you can get it there. Although that's not normally where you see it. You normally see it,
Yeah, it's usually like
right, yeah,
in that area.
that's right.
Okay. That's what I would.
Maybe that little block of notes could get down there in the left hand corner, that thing, yeah. But that information will have to change the date and the scale and the job number. But that's,
Yeah, and I see they're sort of, they're not exactly lined up in their individual pieces of text. Let's see what sizes that is 0.08 and this is 0.06. So I'm going to do that same thing we did before just to make it a single block of text. And I'm going to convert to mText by group. I'll select dink, dink, dink. Oh boy. Let's see what layer that's on. That is on PS Stamp. Let's do this. Let's make a block. just type it. All right. I'm going to go from here. And I'm going to make this 0.08. I'm going to call it scale. Oops. So now, there we go. So scale. And then date. And then job number. Then I'm going to change my text height to 6 and say oops, yes. And let's say okay to that. And I'm going to take all of this and give it a all right, let's make that 0.8. Oh, sorry. It's the width. Here it is. Oops. No. I'm looking for basically a compression factor. I don't see where I can set it there, but I can do it here. That's my tracking. That's my width factor. That's what I'm looking for. So 0.8. And then let's make this a little bit of a bigger track. So it spreads it out a little bit. It's not so muddy looking. All right, so there it is. Everything lined up by text. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick that we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to copy it and paste it right beside it. And then we're going to use that to make some placeholders. So I've selected it. I'm going to right click copy. And then, oops, sorry. We're going to copy, say from here. And I'm scooching it over just like so. And then I'm going to take this and explode it so that it becomes no longer M-text, it becomes individual lines of text. Now I'm doing that for a particular reason, and I don't need this long one, because I'm going to take all of these things and I'm going to scoot this one over a little bit. Now what I'm doing to, you see how if I move this, it's always locked horizontally or vertically?
Yeah.
What I'm doing when I'm doing that is I'm holding the shift key down as I slide my mouse. Okay.
Okay.
Now, these are going to become attributes of a block. And then we're going to make this a block. So then when you insert this block, all you have to, you can change it. You'll type the scale, you'll type the date, you'll type the job number, and all that other stuff will stay the same. You don't have to make edits to the text. So this scale, so this is now just a piece of text, but I'm going to make it into an attribute. And that's going to be an ATTDEF. That's attribute definition. Okay. And it will be, the insertion point will be the same. That'll be fine. The tag is going to be, we'll just call it drawing scale. The prompt will be scale of drawing. The font will be 1 inch equals XX feet. And you'll be able to edit that. And we're going to put some spaces there. It'll be left justified, standard style. Uh, 08. We won't make it annotative at this point. And we'll specify the insertion point on the screen. So we'll say OK. And the start point is going to be at the same insertion point, if I can find where it's, there it is, as this. Okay. And so now I can get rid of that one thing I had underneath there before. I'm just using them for placeholders. And, oh, let's see, I do want to make this 0.85. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing at definition. So I'm going to define an attribute and the same height. Everything else is the same thing there. And we'll say a lot. No, we won't. No. All right, so we're going to call this one drawing date, and we're going to prompt you with middle date, oops, question mark, and the default we'll leave as blank. And all that's good. We'll say okay. And we're going to put that at the same insertion point as this. We're going to get rid of the previous placeholder, and we're going to set that to that same width factor. Okay. And now this, we'll do it one more time. And we'll call it, just call it project number. And we'll say, what do you normally call it? Job number? All right, so we'll say job number. And do you have them usually starting with like the year?
Yeah.
So we'll say something like that as a placeholder, just so you're sort of prompted for it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll say okay, and that's going to go to the insertion point of this one. Then we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to set that to that same width factor. I think that needs to get moved a little bit. I'm trying to get the same spacing like I've got up here. Okay, now, because we have several things here, we've got this as a piece of M text, and then we have 3 attributes, and we're going to make a block out of that, all of that information. I don't need this anymore. So I'm going to type the command block, and I'm going to call it, well, we'll just call it drawing stats. I guess that'll be fine. And this will be the scale, date, job number, etc. And we're going to give it a base point in a minute here. So we'll pick the insertion point of this, which is that upper left. That's fine. Okay. And now we're going to select the entities, which is going to be this, and this, and this, and this. And now what to do with it, I'm going to delete everything there. So it's going to go away, and I'll show you how this works. So now we've defined a block, and we're going to insert that block. And that's on the draw menu, insert. And there's our block name. So you've got some others as well. We're going to specify on the screen where it goes. We can change the scale if we needed. Right now, we made it at the same scale we need, so we don't need to worry about it. And we're just going to say insert, and here it comes in. Now notice there's nothing showing in those other areas, but when I do, notice what it's prompting me now. Okay. So if I say enter, it's going to take what's there in those brackets. Those are the default values. The submittal date I'll put in as, November 17, 2020, just for yucks, and project number. We'll just leave it like that for now. So now there's what it is. That's what holds it. Okay. So if we need to change those, if you just double click it, it brings up this attribute editor. And you see these 3 different things?
Yeah.
And there's their values. And so when you select the scale, that's when you can come in here and change that. And so now you can use this thing interchangeably with other drawings as you need to, and just double click it and fill out those values. And that's all you have to do.
Wow.
Okay. So that part's there so far. Let's do this.
That would be valuable in all the drawings I do.
All right. So we're going to save this as, where do you want to put this?
In the same,
Because right now it's in this thing called job folder template Carlson. Is that where you want it to go?
yeah.
Okay. So, and we can keep it that.
Just call it lot 1.
Well, no, we're going to have all 3 lots all together.
Okay.
So we can just keep the same, we'll just keep the same name. I did a save as. So I just want to make sure we got a save done here. All right. So we've now
You
got,
didn't just erase the original drawing, did you?
no.
Okay.
Well, no, because I mean, it's still always
Okay.
got this.
I
Yeah.
got
Okay. All right, so now this is, we're just picking and choosing. Do we need a vicinity map?
No,
All right, so I'm going to select all of, let me get rid of that. And let's see if we've got any other kind of XREFs. There's that location map. I don't need it. I'll get rid of it. Okay. Sure, we don't need any of this. But let's see, do we need? And some of this stuff, it doesn't hurt to keep this stuff outside of the frame. We'll be all right with that. I don't need that for anything at all. Probably I don't need any of this. All right, so that's just stuff we can copy. Now, we're going to take this. This is our view into, oh, by the way, I'm going to put this just in case we ever need it. Now we're starting at 0, 0. So that's going to go to 8.5, 14. So that's now defining the corners from that endpoint to that endpoint is our corner of everything. So now we've got this as where we want our view into our drawing to be available. So right now, take this snapping off for a second. So right now down to here, that's about all the graphics room that we have. Okay.
okay,
Maybe a little bit closer up here. Okay, so that's how much of our model we'll be able to see. We could come down in here, if we needed to, and make this non-rectangular. But for now, we'll leave this here. And if we need to make it bigger to get a scale, we'll rearrange all this stuff. But for now, that's going to be why we're looking to our model. Now, to get what that is, first of all, I'm going to select it. And I'm going to come over here where it says select or displays locked. And I'm going to unlock it. Or you can do it down here on the bottom of the status bar with that little padlock. I'm going to unlock it so that I can change its scale. And the reason I need to change the scale right now, because it's set to 1 inch equals 200. Now, it might turn out that that's what we need. So I'm going to unlock it though, so we can figure out what it is that we do need. Okay, now, remember, or you see how the cursor is showing out here, wherever you are, because you're in the space of the paper. You're in paper space.
right,
If we double click inside it, you're now inside here, and it has a rotation and all that. And so when you go outside, the cursor disappears. So I'm here in my model, but I'm looking at it through this paper.
right.
Now, get rid of this rotation and to change its scale, I'm going to type a command called plan. And it wants to know the plan view of UCS world or the current UCS. And I'm going to say world. So I've set my UCS, make sure I'm back to my world UCS. So there's my UCS. It's plan view. It's expanded to be the size that will fit, and that's some custom size. So I can take this and get it positioned like I want to see it. And you can do it like that and have north go straight up the page. In fact, let me change my crosshairs a minute. So twist screen will just restore due north. And there we go. So now my crosshairs are straight up the page. North will be straight up the page, and that leaves your drawings slightly skewed. That could be what you want to do. Or you could make that vertical where your north arrow is going to lean to the left at the top, or you could turn it so that it's horizontal. You know, I don't know how you plan to orient these. You tell me, and we'll set that up.
Well, it looks like it'll fit. As long as we have room for all of the notes down in the bottom left-hand corner, and it looks like we probably will.
Yeah, so we'll do something like this. And just as a placeholder, we'll stick this down here for right now. It's a bit of a mess right at the moment, but we'll leave it there just to be as a placeholder. Now back inside of here, do you want these lines to be lined up parallel to the paper, or do you want north to be straight up, or do you want the lines to go left to right or up and down, however you want it to be? Or if this is the main highway down here,
no, there is no main highway
okay,
anywhere. There's just a subdivision road on the right-hand side
over here.
over there, yeah.
Right, so do you want to show that as going horizontally or vertically, or leave it as it is?
I'd say leave it as it is.
Okay, so now to get the maximum size, the maximum scale that we need, unless they tell you what scale it needs to be, but to get all this stuff to fit, and keeping in mind, you're going to have to probably label some adjoiners or whatever. But if I look at this, it's about where I want it to be, sort of. And so I'm going to click out of it again to be back in my paper, and I'm going to select that viewport, and I'm going to look over here and see what the scale is. And its scale is 0.01, which looks like it's 100, 1 inch equals 100 feet.
Yeah, probably right.
So, all right, so there's 1 inch equals 100. That makes it a little smaller, actually. So let's see what else we can. I doubt we can get 50 in there. Can we get 60 maybe? All right, so let's see. So 1 inch equals 100 feet. So 1 inch equals 60 feet is, get my calculator up here, 0.0166667. So if I say 0.01666667, all right, so that's 60 scale. 50 scale is probably going to be a little too big, but I'll show you what it is. That's exactly 0.02. So there's 50 scale. That's probably too big.
Yeah, that won't work.
So there's 60, but even that might be too big. You can let me know. You might not want to use 80. 80 would probably fit very nicely. But, how many people have an 80 scale sitting around their shop?
Well, no banker is going to be scaling it, I don't think.
Well, that's certainly very true.
We have to remember who our audience is here.
Yep. So you let me know whatever scale you want.
Let's see what 80 scale looks like.
All right. So that is,
What did you say that was? That's 60?
that's 60.
Yeah.
So 80 is going to be, that's 0.0125. It looks like that.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Okay. Now let's leave it at that. And we will, we'll match the annotation scale if I can find it. It's not gonna let me. I'm gonna have to create those scales here in a minute. I'm gonna come back and do that. But for now, because that's 80, and that's probably centered about where I want it. Do you think, or do you?
Yeah, I'd say.
Okay. So now I've got this selected. I'm going to go ahead and lock it. I'm going to come down here and double click that padlock. So it's now locked so that I don't accidentally be inside it and roll the wheel and my mouse and change my scale. Now let's go to this set of scales. And I'm not sure. Where to do that here. Let me see something. All right, I'm going to. Right there, cleared. Where's my, that's what I was looking for. Sorry. Okay. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, that's all right. Now, my scales, I may have to do over here. There we go. So I clicked in that scale list and there's what we had. Now, remember we did the 80 and we had to type in the ratio because it's not in our list here.
Right.
So I'm going to add, and I'm going to call that 1 inch equals 80 feet. And that's 1 paper unit equals 80 drawing units. So there it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, we could also inch equals 60 feet. So 60. That should be all right. They're there. Let's see, I'm going to move this up. So it's 50, 60, 80. I'll take 20 and 40. Oops, I'll take 20, move it up. 40, move it up. I don't see an inch equals 10. This one I can get rid of. Oops, it's in use. Can I rename it? Yeah. Oh, sorry. There's that one I can, oh, can't delete. Let's see, allow deletion. All right, so there's my architectural things. There's my metric things, and here are my typical engineering scale. We'll go ahead and add a 1 inch equals 10 feet just for yucks. So 10 of those, and we'll move that up. And so now that becomes available if I ever want to change any of that stuff. Now, right now, if you were using annotative text and you told it you wanted 1/8 of an inch tall text, right now it'd be sitting on 1 inch equals 50 feet. And that is probably also matching this. Yeah, so there's your 50 scale. We're going to actually be at 80 scale. So if we say 80, that should be all right. I'm going to change this to 1. I'll say okay for that. And I'm going to type MT or MSLT scale. Make sure that's on. PSLT scale. Make sure that's on. LT scale should be 1. All right, that's good to that. I'm going to type this. That's good. P line gen. P line gen is on. Okay. And I'll save this again. Now, let's talk about what we're going to show. We've got property corners, like here, for instance, but you're going to are you going to hide these?
Yes, I'm gonna hide all of that, including the numbers.
Okay, but not the symbols, right?
Right.
All right, so we want to freeze those particular layers. So they're going to be my PNT number, description, and elevation. All right, so now, but you got two different things here. You've got the one which is point number 11 called a number 5 rebar found, and you've got a point number 209 which is COR.
Yeah, I'm gonna use 209, which is where I think it's going to.
Okay, so this one is on a layer called boundary. This one is on a layer called deed.
Okay, I guess we'll go to, well, that's a good question.
Well, like we can make a layer called field evidence and put all the things that we want to keep, but we don't want to show on that layer.
Yeah, maybe do that.
Okay, so let's take, we'll just make a new layer and we'll call it field points freeze. All right, and we'll go ahead and make it frozen. And if we select,
How did you see what point numbers there were that is there?
when I sat on it, I double clicked it and it brought this editor up.
Okay.
Right there. Okay. So if I select similar, I selected the one, I right clicked and chose select similar. And now there's, see that point there. So, you know, you've made whatever corner decisions that you need to make with that. That's fine. But do I want to freeze all of these points or maybe do them individually?
No, I would say they can all be frozen.
Okay, so they're all selected and they're on this layer of boundary, and I'm just going to pull this down and change it to that field points freeze.
Okay.
And Why didn't that change? Maybe it did. It did. Okay. My video just didn't update. All right, so those are there. Now I don't know about these points. Now here's a point 200 called COR.
Yeah, that's a deed point. That's gonna have to stay, but I'm gonna have to fix it. There's some work on those boundaries I have to do.
Okay, so that's on a layer called house. All right, so I'm going to leave all those there. And say here's another point.
That's a well. I'm gonna have to show it.
Okay, so I'm going to let you do all of that cosmetic stuff. Okay, and just remember though that we've got those points on that frozen layer, and I've also frozen point number, description, and elevation. If you need to see them, just go back to your layer manager and scroll down and find that. See, here's your point description, point elevation, point number. So they're frozen.
Right.
Up here's this one. Now you've got guardrail frozen. That could be left over from something else.
Yeah,
You've got
it is.
control points frozen. Um, everything's fine. But just remember they're there. Don't panic and think that it's missing. Okay, it's what I'm getting at.
Right.
I'm going to make sure my viewports, see this little red X on this
Yeah.
printer? So that's what I want. Make sure that that's not going to print the frame of my viewport. So now I'm in good shape here. Now, what's going to happen is when I plot this and show for lot 1, this information up here for lot 2 is also going to show. And that may be what you want, or it may not be. And
No, I don't really want to show it.
okay, so what we have to do to fix that is back here in our model is we have to, like, is this a single line? No, that's not. What about this one? That's separate. Or no, that's the road, so that's fine. That's separate, and that's separate. Okay. Now the road that's the road right of way, correct?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I think we're going to need to take this road and I want to make it does it follow this edge?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just adding points. And then does it go up to here?
Yes.
All right. Uh-oh, didn't mean to do that. There. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to put all these things on their separate layers. Okay. So I'm going to say this right now is on a layer called deed. Let's make a layer called right of way. Let's see if we have anything like that already. No, just north arrow. So we're going to make one called V dash road dash ROW. And just for yucks, we'll make it yellow. And we will give it a line type of, do we have a right of way? How do you normally show your rights of way? As a, do you put an R/W in it or anything?
No, I mean, I've drawn so few plats, I can't tell you how I normally
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, and it may be fine. It may be you just want it standard. Let me see what we may have. Yeah, I don't really see anything that's already defined. I don't want to, I'm not trying to rebuild your line style libraries. We don't have time for that right now. So let's just choose however you may want to do it. Do you just want it solid or do you want a like a
Yeah, something like that, like a dashed line
okay? So, but I don't want to use the same line as the property line. That's what I want to avoid.
right, right.
Um, there's one that has. Let's see what that. We'll see what that looks like in just a minute, and I'm going to give it a width of 0.35. And then I'm going to take this and change that to that layer, which was V road right of way. And its color was by layer and its line type was by layer. Line type scales 1. Okay. And why is it still showing red? There we go. All right. So that's going to show like that now. I'm going to select this and bring it to the front. So it'll lie over top of the road right of way.
Now, you know what, I actually need to, for the subdivision, the road right of way stops there, but it actually continues. So I probably need to show it as a parting line. That,
So,
yeah, instead of having that there, having it two straight lines extending.
okay, so what we'll do then is this, is we're gonna delete that segment.
How do you delete a segment?
See this right here? Remove polyline vertex, remove polyline segment.
Okay,
And that's also under edit polylines, polyline utilities rather. And then it's under remove polyline segment.
okay,
But if you want to look for the picture, it's the pencil eraser over top of the red segment or over top of the dot for the vertex.
okay,
All right. So now that's that. And I'm just going to extend this. I'm going to grip edit it. I'm going to select it and make sure that I stay in line.
okay. Now, how did you do that? How do you make something stay in line?
What you do is when you have your snaps on, entity snaps are on, I'm going to right click and choose settings. See that right there that says extension?
Yes,
Okay, so that's on. And when you take this, for instance, and see now it's not showing anything, but if I go back and just hover over that endpoint, it's going to pick it up. And sometimes you have to do it twice because if you want it to go away, you quit, you hover over it again and it turns it back off. Now here's once you learn to do that, see, I'm going to extend from there and I'm going to go over and hover over this endpoint and I'm going to extend from here. And then there's where those two would intersect, straight across horizontally, but extending from there. I don't, it can't figure out that perpendicular but if I had a line that was perpendicular, I could. Okay, so it's a little bit of shortcut.
so you're doing an extension command there, not a move command.
Oh, I'm just doing a grip edit.
Okay,
Now this point is,
okay, it can go away.
all right, it's in, and then here's another one, center line. Okay, so what we're going to do is you've got those. So these, what about your center line points? You're going to,
It can go away.
all right, so we've got those two. We had one up here. I thought maybe not. Nope. Okay. So that was there. And remember, we put those on that field points freeze. So they're going to still be there. Except I need to regen. What's this? No description, point number 249. So
it's gonna be so far south, it's not gonna show up anyway, is it?
probably not, but might as well gather it up and put it on that same thing. Now, this probably needs to get extended a little further. Now, there is another way of extending lines, and that's with this right up here, extend by distance.
Yeah,
And that's when you pick this, and then you get all of these different choices down there on the command line.
Yeah.
And so you can type a specific distance and all of that, and it always goes the way your arrow is pointing.
okay.
And you've got those other commands like right, R for right, L for left, and so that might be easier to remember for you. All right. So now we've got that. So we have the, now does this right of way, do we need to extend them this way too?
No, stop it there.
Okay. All right. So now we got the road taken care of. Let's save that. And now let's look at our boundary lines. We have, this is on a layer called deed. And that's okay to leave them on that layer called deed, but I think you've probably got some other processing that might be on that layer called deed, maybe points and things like that. That's okay. But for our platting's sake, I'm going to call this property lines. I'm going to say V dash you've got V dash prop dash site. So V dash prop dash, let's call it boundary. And let's make them red so we know that they're there. And we're going to give those now some fairly heavy line weight, 0.5 millimeters. And I think we had that phantom that we liked.
Yeah,
That one like that.
yeah,
All right, so that is, we called that V dash prop dash boundary. Now, so I'm going to set here. And because it's now current, if I make a copy, it's going to or I just make a new one, it's going to copy the current layer. And I'm going to call this one now V dash prop dash BDY dash lot 1. Whoops, lot 1. Let me put a dash in there. And then I'm going to make another new one and call that the same thing as this one. So I will copy, paste 2. And one more time, Control 3, or Control V, then 3. So I've got lot 1, lot 2, and lot 3. Now what I'll be able to do then is we're going to change each of these boundaries. So this one goes on V prop boundary lot 1. This one goes on V prop boundary lot 2. And this one goes on, V prop or V boundary lot 3. And we're going to leave them all three showing out here so we can work in the model and see everything all together. But when we go over to here and we double click inside of this, that means that for this view into the model, and only for this view, only inside this viewport, I can freeze lots 2 and 3. I'll select them both, but I don't freeze it here. This is overall global. I come over here to the right-hand side and I do a VP, or right here, it's called current viewport, whether it's frozen or thawed. Right now it's thawed, so if I click that, they're frozen. And so now, when I regen, I apologize. That's just a vestige of Zoom. It's not updating the screen. So now I'll have my, you see that other boundary went away. So I'm going to do the same thing with these. What are these, setbacks?
Yeah, BRL, the setback, whichever you want to call
Hello? I can't hear you, Mike.
Yeah, it's a setback or BRL, whichever you want to call it. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello? Hello?
Okay, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't hear you there.
Can you hear me now?
I can now, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so what I was able to do is, because I put that on a different set of layers, I'm able to, inside of this, over my paper space, I can freeze and thaw those different things for the different lots. Okay,
Right.
I'll keep my right-of-way showing, but I'll freeze off the other things that don't apply. Okay.
Okay.
So, so that being the case, now if I'm thinking ahead, I see like I'm going to have property corners probably,
Yeah.
but I don't need to duplicate those and turn them on for one and then go to the next sheet, turn them on for the other, because my next sheet, when I reposition it, I won't see these other ones. They'll be out of my view. I just need to really worry about the things that are within my view. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to model, to this model. And what now are these items? Or is that our setback line?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing like I did for the boundary. I'm going to go here. I'm going to make a new one called the prop setback. And I'm going to copy that when I do the next one. And I'm going to make my setbacks, I'll leave them white. Let's make them cyan just for yucks. And we'll leave those just default width. We don't need it very wide. And I'm going to use, say this hidden style. Okay. Now, so there's that one. I'll make it current. I will now make a new one. And I'll call that one 2. And I'll make another new one. Oops, sorry, layers. And come down here at the bottom and I'll say new. And I'll paste and 3. So let's see, there's setback 3. Oops, I'm going to delete that one. Now make a new one. There we go. The only reason I did that, Mike, when I deleted that was that I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to change all this over again. So it's just a little lazy man's way of doing it. So now I'm going to take this, change it to the prop setback lot 1. This is going to go on the prop setback lot 2. I don't see that third one. What happened to it? Oh, there it is. It's not updating itself here in my pull down. Let's see.
That's odd.
Yeah, I don't see why. See, it should be showing up here, but it's not for whatever reason. Probably it's, we probably need to quit Carlson and reload it. I'm sorry that that happens that way, but anyway, I want it to be 3, so let's do it manually. So change properties, and I'm going to change the layer, and I'm going to change it to v dash prop dash setback dash lot dash 3, and be done. Okay, so now there's that. I'll also change their color. Like, let me select all of it. Change all their colors to violet. All right. So now I've got that. I'm going to go over to lot 1 or to my paper tab, and we'll fix some couple things here in a minute, but I'm going to double click inside it. And then I'm going to go here to my setbacks. And I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to go over here to the right and I'm going to freeze them. Okay, so far so good, except I need to regen. All right, so now same thing next with the houses. So what do we have? We've got a house. What are these yellow things? Is that the septic
Reserve area.
reserve area? All right, so I'm going to do all 3 of these things. I'm going to make a V dash building. I'm just going to put 1 instead of, well, let's do that. Copy that. And we'll make them white continuous. Do they need to be sort of heavy line weight or not?
No.
Okay, so we'll leave them default. We'll leave them solid. And we'll make another one. We'll paste it as lot 2. And we'll make one more and paste that as lot 3. And what was the other reserve area?
Yeah, reserve area.
All right, so we're going to make one called V dash prop dash reserve dash lot dash 1. Copy that, and we'll make them. Let's make them magenta. Do they need to be a dash, a small dash, or anything like that, or?
They can pretty much be anything we want to make them to be.
All right, let's do. -2. All right. And then I'm going to make one for lot 2, and then one for lot 3. Now, lest you think this is the best way to always do this, keep in mind, if you're doing this for a 100-lot subdivision, you don't want to do it this way. You don't want to fracture everything up, and we'd have to find other means of doing that, which there are. We can mask off what we see in those other areas. But for now, and you're going to take care of things like these wells and ground features. And so, but that's the technique, is that you're going to, when you look at these things, I'm going to, let's do this. We will, all right, so there's that and that. Now I realize you're going to fix all that, but I'm going to put that on building lot 1. And then building lot 2. Did I get all of it? Yeah, building, oops. Building lot 3. Reserve lot 3. Reserve lot 2. And then finally, whoop. So that one, should that all be joined together?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll, I must have hit the wrong, yep, that's boundary. So reserve lot 3. All right, so now that looks okay, except I probably want those dashes to be a slightly different size. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. You can do it either by changing to a line style that has a different gap and space, or the easiest thing to do is select that thing that you want to be, maybe smaller scale, and just select, so they're all 3 selected. And I'm going to come up here and change the line type scale. Instead of 1, I'm going to make it say 0.5, just make it half the size. And then when I regen that, you see, so they'll show up smaller dashes than the setback lines. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you've got this going on. Let's see, let's save that and let's go here. So now, while I'm here, I'm going to freeze off. Let's see, I'm going to take 2 and 3. So 2, 3, 2. Now it's not letting me do that. 2 and 3. All right, 2 and 3. They're frozen there. 2 and 3. Frozen there. 2 and 3 are frozen there. Building 2 and 3, frozen there. Remember, you have to do it over here, not over here, because if you do it here, that freezes it even when you're back out here in the model tab. Right now, nothing in the model tab is frozen, so you see everything.
Right.
But when you're here, the only thing you see is lot 1 plus this is all the boundary stayed where, or the right of way stay where it is. Now, you've got this going on with your property line. You see how it,
Yeah.
that's sort of covered up. So, you know, and that's the right of way. So there's not really much you can do about that unless you wanted to break this right of way line into 3 different pieces and turn it off.
Yeah, I would say for what our purpose here, that's not necessary.
All right.
But now, do we need to extend that one boundary line so that it's like showing them like a departing line on there,
Oh,
and
up
also
here,
there?
up
Yeah,
here. Very possibly. And you can do that a number of ways. You can come back here into the model and let's do, I like to do anything that has to do with the actual ground position of things I like to do in the model. Things that have to do with the paper, I'll do in the paper space. But then if you shift where that viewport is centered, all of those paper things don't move.
let me ask you a question. If you just unfroze that boundary of that lot for lot number 2, wouldn't that work?
Yeah, yeah, you can do that. And here's something else. You see how these are all the same heavy red and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So if I go here and if I change this and say, let's thaw the boundary for lot 2.
Yeah.
Now, and regen. So you see that looks like that.
Yeah.
That could be okay. But here's the really cool thing about viewports. While I'm here and I'm not changing anything in my model, it's going to always look like that. But while I'm here, I can have that boundary of lot 2, which is normally red with a phantom 2. I can come over here to the right-hand side now and give it a whole new set of colors. So I'm going to make it, say, this pale 253. And instead of phantom, I'll make it just a just make it a solid line, continuous. And I'll make it skinny. We'll just leave it as default. Okay. And now when I regen that, see what that does?
Yeah.
So that keeps our boundary of interest looking good, but this indicates the property, but it's not the one that we're interested in.
Right.
Okay. So, and then of course you would label it, you know, with your adjoiner text or whatever. Okay. So that, and if you look back over here, see, I haven't changed any of that. So it used to be before we were able to do this with layout tabs and viewports, we would have to change it, plot the sheet, and then change it back and change this one and go plot that sheet. It was just a real pain that took us. So we've got some good things going. All right, now, this is lot 1.
Okay, we're gonna have to show a departing line to the south. Yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm going to just sit on that layer, and that MOLC, that's make object layer current. So I'm now, that's now my current layer, and it's just for that one. That'll be fine. And if I draw a polyline, but I'm going to, instead of, I'll use that I'll use the same layer, but I'm going to set its color to 253. I'll make it a continuous. And it doesn't let me set the line weight here. I'll have to do that in the properties. That's okay. I'll say okay. And I'm going to start here. And it's probably in line with that, right?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to do a little trick here. I'm going to snap nearest and go up about in here. And then I'm going to select that and move it from here to here.
Wow.
And then finally, I'm going to change its line weight. Instead of by layer, which was fat and heavy, I'm just going to make it default. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that's what it's going to look like. Okay.
Yep.
Now, what about up on this end? Does that extend that way too?
No, it extends extends that way. Yeah.
This extends this way.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to copy that. Copy from here to here. I'll select it, and it's probably not exactly a right angle, but we'll fix that here. I'm going to say rotate from here by reference, here to here to here. And now I'm going to move that from here to here. Okay. But I'm also going to change its layer just to keep it, because we're going to freeze that one. I'm going to put that up on 3. That's the one it's associated with. Okay. What about here?
Nope.
Okay. So that's all is looking good. And now you're going to come over here and you're going to, take, say, this and, place it where, do all of those things that you need to do. Okay.
Right.
And you'll do all that stuff in the paper. You're also going to, revise the footprints and all that stuff and freeze these little points or change their symbols or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll
Make
that-
that a well.
Yeah, and you'll do that in the model.
Right.
Okay. But for now, this is here. You've got some general notes. You'll know what you want to change it to. You'll change this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know what it's going to say yet? I mean, we can do it while we're here.
Yeah. Pretty much it's going to be called foundation location.
Does it still say plat of survey and then
Well,
foundation?
let me think about that.
Right.
Instead of calling it a plat survey, let me call it plat showing foundation location.
Or location survey or plat of,
Location survey. That's good.
okay. So location survey showing
Foundation.
so probably down through here. So we can say showing building foundation, structure foundation, or just foundation?
House foundation.
House foundation.
And it's of let's see, lot 1.
All right. So
Angler's Glen.
lot 1. Or are we going to need the district and the county?
Yes.
All right. So lot 1, Anglers Glenn, like that?
Yes,
Okay.
and it is, Harper's Ferry District.
They don't use, or do they use a apostrophe?
No,
Okay. Is that Jefferson?
yep,
Okay. Anything else, or is that it?
that's it.
Okay. So that'll be that. And then whatever your notes need to say. In fact, I'm going to. Uh-oh. I can't see the cursor. And that's probably a Zoom thing. It might not be, I don't know. There I can see it.
Well, it's hard to see, actually, when it's in, I've noticed that too. When it's in a note that you've opened up, it's very hard to see.
Yeah. Let's see if I move it, as long as it's highlighted. See, I can see it.
Yeah.
How about that? See what I did there? I right clicked and chose this background transparency.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I wanted to do. Oh, that was much better. Okay. Well, I wish I had known that earlier. Okay.
Well, I think we're gonna have to make that text a lot smaller to get it to fit in there.
Well, we're not going to have all of that text anyway, probably, but let's do that. Well, let's see what we've got. Right now, that's 0.125, so that's 1/8 of an inch. So if I select it all, and we'll make that text say like a Leroy 80. Oh boy, let's see. Shoot. Let me fix that in a minute. So, all right, so it's Arial Arial narrow. Does this let me change that? No. So I'll leave it Arial narrow. And if I make it 0.08, well, let's see. There we go. Okay. That might be a little too small, actually.
We ended up with two number ones there somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Uh,
And the space between the the lines in the first note, number one, is very different from the space between the lines. And
Yeah. I think what I want to do too is I want to do that. And then I want to do this. That's my tracking, my line spacing of 1. Okay.
that's a misspelling, and insurance is misspelled too.
I think what happened was I think it got inserted in the wrong spot. Oops. That was the IN that was sitting over here. So, all right. So, all right. So that's good. I'm trying to figure out why can't I change? My numbering, my paragraph numbering is screwing it up here. I don't know why it's not. There should be a format choice. It's oh, I think I know where it might be. No.
Would it be under the bullet? Yeah,
Right,
under that.
yeah, it's right. It's right there, right there.
Yeah.
So right here, I just need to change that to continue. There we go. Woo. All right, now to fix this so it's not interfering. With the title. Okay, so I'll let you make those edits whenever you're ready
Okay.
to do that. Or do you know what they are now?
No, I don't know what
Okay.
all of them are, but we can go down and fix the stuff in the bottom there. But,
Yep.
yeah.
So this was, and you know what? I'm going to let you drive so you get used to using those blocks. And you just double click it. There you go. And you can use the arrows on the keyboard and all that kind of stuff. So there's 80. All right, perfect. And then go to click on the line. Yeah, before you hit OK. There you go. Exactly.
That's right.
Now that's today's date. So
Yeah, that's good enough. And
all right. Oops, you got 1 inch equals 80 inches.
oops.
There you go. You typed the foot symbol over again, but you didn't have it selected when you selected the XX. That's what it was.
Okay.
So say OK, and there you're good. Okay, now,
Well, actually, I do know the setbacks are. I know what the setbacks are. They're not that. They're
what's that?
the setbacks under here.
Oh, for the note? Yeah.
Yeah. That's, 40.
Okay. All right.
I got to look that up. I don't know what that is.
Okay. All right. So now,
I'll need one more note after
Right.
that the licensing board makes me put on. I've got to look it up.
so if you need to add another note in, if it starts to get too long or whatever, you can scoot it over to the left a little and stretch it out to the right a little, or change its height, or maybe change the size of this if you want.
Okay.
You know, just play around with those.
Oh, I need to change. That's house foundation for lot 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, when this plots, it's going to show a, you won't see this red frame.
Right.
So, which will be fine.
By the way, can I plot that on my printer on 8.5 by 11 paper like I do with the big ones?
If you plot it on your printer at 8.5 by 11, it's going to cut 3 inches off. Or if you scale it to fit the 8.5 by 11, it's going to scrunch it down in width.
Yeah, no, I know. I just want to see what it looks like after I finish.
Oh yeah. You can do that, and it'll try to do it. But
I've got to get a new printer, one that prints 8.5 by 14, and one that prints 11 by 17.
yeah, see, I've got that. I've got an 11 by 17 one myself. I've got the same printer you've got, except the bigger model. It's an Epson Workforce. It's the WF7610.
7610. Let me write that
Yeah.
down.
And I like it really well. It's, because I do those 11 by 17s, and they're always half size. When I do my engineering drawings, I always make them 22 by 34. Yeah,
Is
22
it
by
set
30.
up so you could get a tray to print 8.5 by 14?
You can, but usually what you'll do is just feed it through the back one at a time.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, that's what I do on mine. Wait a minute, let me double check. Yeah. Well, I think you can put all those other sizes, including 11 by 17, in the tray. I never noticed that. So, oh well. So there's that. Now,
How expensive was it? Do you remember?
No, it wasn't that,
$600,
yeah, how much?
about 600.
Oh, not even that much. It's like, I don't know, 150 maybe?
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, uh, yeah, I just don't remember, Mike. All right, now, so if we do this, let's say we'll put that, say right in there. We can scrunch this up. Uh, let's go. Oh, come on. All right. And then we'll just trim this off. All right, so now you'll see everything that deals with the drawing up here, but then down below this will be the title stuff. We're going to need to bring our north arrow across. Oh no, what happened? Crap.
Oh, no.
It's all right. It's all right. Never to fear. We'll come back.
Yeah, but will it all be saved?
Not all, but it wasn't that far back. Don't have any idea what that happened, but that could be part of why it was not, we had to regen all the time.
Oh, you opened up the other, I can find that one. It's,
Yeah, go ahead. Ah, that's interesting. See this right here?
yeah,
So what's going on with that is that the block itself was composed out of annotated text. So we're going to change that. Let's see here. That text should not be annotated. It says it's not. Its text height is that. Okay. Oops. And then we shall save. All right, so that part's there. That part's there, that part's there. So the only thing we missed was getting
remove that. that up.
this line.
Yeah.
And we put it somewhere
I
like,
think you moved the red line up too.
yep. And that's that. Wow. Yeah, there's something interesting here. See, if I'm going to move that, and the last time I did this, the nearest snap was up here.
Because you opened the newest version of that I have. I've been using the old version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, there was something weird about the new version.
Yeah, they wouldn't plot into the margins correctly.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll go back to that in a minute.
I mean, the only reason I got I got the new version by accident. Actually, what happened was I bought the what was all that?
That's the scaling for the
Was to get the GIS software, and I should have gotten you to help me install it, and I would have the same version of Carlson.
oh, yeah. All right. So now this is just out in paper space. So we're going to change its rotation to be just north for that. Same thing for the block. Now it is annotated. Rotation is east. And let's make its scale a little smaller.
Okay, now that reference needs to be different. It just needs to say Flat Book 22, page 34.
All right, I'll let you change that. You just say north based on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Well, wait a minute. It's already got north over here. So
Okay.
north based on.
Flat Book 22, page 34. So, oops.
It's all right. We've got this. We can do that.
Okay.
Do you need a G or does it just typically P?
No, it's just P.
Okay. So if that's good, hit OK. And then now do you want that on two lines or is that one line okay?
One line's okay.
All right. Okay. Now I'm going to save that. And I'll go back to this. Okay, it all looks good. Okay.
I guess we can copy that 2 more times.
Yep. So the only thing you're going to need are like these.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to get rid of those. You say you don't need a legend, right?
Right.
I'm going to leave you with that, and that if you want to copy from. Then everything else we'll get rid of. And you don't even technically really need these red lines out here. I just like to always have that for reference. So we'll save that. And now what you're going to do is just right click. I'm going to let you do this. I'll talk you through it. Where it says lot 1, 8.5 by 14, just right click and copy. And the layout name, you want to type lot 1 or lot 2 this time. And you can just leave it as lot 2. You know, it's up to you, whatever you want to call it. But you
So
say,
that's called 8.5 by 14.
no, you don't have to at all. I just did that so you know, 6 months from now what that is. And then copy that one to lot 3. Or either one of them, doesn't matter which. Okay, say okay. And now you see you're sitting on lot 2. So you might as well, since you know this is lot 2, go into that title bar or not title bar, but title, yeah, that title text and change, some of that kind of stuff. All right. Now, before you leave this, double click inside the viewport. And you want to, we're going to rearrange stuff, but we're going to reset our layers. So we're going to go to our layer manager now that you're inside the viewport. There you go. And now scroll that down to where you see those. Yeah, scroll down also. And you see the ones that are, they all start with V's. There you go. So first of all, you see the check mark? That's the layer you're currently on. So make sure because that's when you're going to freeze. So don't want to be on that one. So double click it. Now double click the one you want to go to.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, there you go. So now there you're on. So now go to that right-hand column and follow the number 2, but freeze the number 1s. Okay, and there's one up above too. The buildings are up above. You want one in, well, that's TST.
Oh,
So you want 1 frozen, 2 thawed, and 3 frozen. There you go. So 1 and 3 you want frozen.
one frozen.
Yeah, now if you're having a hard, like if you're trying to catch it from there, a little trick is if you click on the name over here, and then
Okay.
once you do that, you can see where it is. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'll let you go. All right. So there you go. So, all right. Looks good. I think that's got it. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So now we're almost there. You have to do a regen, REA. Yeah. Now I don't know if you have to always do that or if it's just because of Zoom. I don't know what the case is. I've never seen us have to normally do that. Now, you're obviously not centered where you want to be, and here's how to fix that. First of all, you're in the viewport, so you need to double click back outside of it and select the viewport. Okay, now we're not going to move it. We're going to leave it right where it is, but we need to unlock it and reposition where we're looking. So we double click that. Okay, now it's unlocked. And we see that scale that we have over in the properties. We don't want to change the scale, so we're going to do something here. We're going to double click inside the viewport. Okay, now very carefully, without rolling the wheel on your mouse, press and hold the wheel and pan to where the second lot is centered on your sheet. Okay, let it up and get another bite if you need to. Okay, if that's where it needs to be, then double click outside it, select it again, verifying the properties that you're in the right scale, looks like you are, and then double click your padlock. Okay. And you could do that same thing for number 3. Now you're also going to make sure you fix those straight points and put your property corners and all that.
Right.
So now you want to repeat that same process for lot 3. So change the title. Okay. You might as well, yeah, there you go. So this time you want 1 and 2 frozen and 3 thawed. No, all right, I'll tell you what's going on here. See what's going on?
No.
It has nothing to do with that. Here's what's going on is that close this thing. Well, first of all, it's showing you that they're all on. Okay, but close this off. And that's because you're not double clicked inside the viewport. Yep. There you go. Now go back to it. Okay. Now you're sitting on number 2, so it's not going to well, it will let you, but it'll yell at you. So if you see now, and turn 1 off and thaw that. Now I would go ahead and double click it. Yeah, right there. There you go. Perfect. Okay.
REA.
Yeah. And you won't see anything because other than the right of way. So now you're up there, but we come back out of it. So double click outside, select it, unlock it, and then pan it to where you need it. Now you can, if it's too tough to press and hold the wheel without making it roll, you can just type the command pan, P-A-N, and then you don't have to use the wheel. You just click and then click a second point. So now you go up there and just grab it with the mouse normally like you would, well, except you got to double click inside it. Escape, you're panning all right, but you're panning on the paper. Now type pan. Okay, and so now that won't change it. You won't accidentally change the thing. It's a little too tricky. Double click outside of it. And it says, oh, yeah, there you go. Now you can pan it up so you can see the rest of the paper. Just press and hold the wheel now. There you go, like that. So if that's, you can reposition it if you need to get it a little more in the center, that's up to you. But you double click inside the box first. Yeah, now you can type pan or press and hold the wheel, either one.
I like the pan, oops.
Type it again.
The wheel
I
makes
like
me
that.
nervous.
Yeah, no, I like that because it's too easy to mess it up. The thing to remember though is if you do accidentally ever mess it up, just double click outside, just like you're getting ready to do now, select the viewport, and then go over to the properties and you can change that
Scale
scale
there.
to, yeah. So now it's
And
still what
lock
you
it.
like it. So just lock it down and you're good to go. Just double click your padlock.
Good.
Oh, okay. I see it. Yeah. And that's about it. I mean, you got some edits to make, some adjoiners and stuff like that, but I think that's everything you need.
Yes, sir. That gives me a big leg up. I've got my work cut
Alrighty.
out for me tomorrow.
Good. Now to do a real quick check, let's go up to the little printer icon in the top row. Upper left, yep. And go ahead and choose OK. And throw it out on your desktop. Let's just take a look at it to make sure the line weights and all that work for us. Just call it test or whatever you want to call it, lot 3, I don't care. And now, yeah, there it is.
It's over on the other side. So on the other screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see your other screen.
Let me see if I can drag it over.
There it is. All right, so make that bigger. And if you click this right here, oops, not that. Where trying to get it to, okay, so that's going to be what it's going to look like. It looks pretty good.
Yeah. I have a lot of labeling and stuff to do, but
Yeah, now this binding edge, I've always been one that wanted to do that because I've had things happen that where they wind up punching holes through my sheet. If you didn't want that on there, you could, reset that sheet, that black rectangle, you could drag it over. But I mean, it's okay. In fact, if real estate got to be a problem, you could reclaim at least another 1/4 inch.
right.
But, like I said, it's a little
Out of balance.
Yeah, I don't like things oriented like this myself when they're drawings, but that's just me. So anyway.
By the way, I've taken your advice and I agree with you that turning point numbers off for the final drawing is a good idea. It looks a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, unless you need it because you've got a table of point numbers.
Well, I need it when I go out in the field to set corners.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
So I would probably turn it off last thing.
Yeah. But I mean, there's also times where, you might, for whatever reason, maybe you needed to publish the coordinate values of all the property corners, for instance, in a subdivision. Then you would just simply number all the points, and then you'd have a table, and of course you would do that by just doing a list points. You get it out there in your little text editor, and then you just hit the screen button, and that's where you can plop them down. Uh, or if you were having to plot your control network on, some other kind of referenced map, things like that. So there's times when you certainly would need them. And of course, like you say, when you're going out to stake out, then you'd want them on. So, all right. So
Right.
now, so that looks pretty good. Um, so
I'm back to showing foundation. I don't know, I thought I changed that, but evidently not.
oh, you know what? I bet that was one that didn't get when we crashed.
Yep, yep,
So,
oh well, easy to change.
so yeah, you can. Well, this is just a PDF.
Right,
So there you go. And up. Uh-oh.
no, you took a space, yeah,
That's what I meant to do. Now, you've got plenty of room to put a bar scale if you wanted to, but if this suffices, that'll keep it that much cleaner as well. So um, it's up to you. Now, if you ever needed to do that, or ever
well, why don't
wanted
you
to,
just go ahead and do it, just for the exercise.
all right. So, well, I'll put it here. I'll get on that scale. But I'm gonna look at my blocks. I don't remember if my bar scale was one of my
Yep,
blocks.
there it is.
Right there. Yep. All right. So it's there. I have shifted to that location, and now AutoCAD works. If you just drag this and drop it into this drawing, it places it. IntelliCAD doesn't, but what that did for me was let me know that I had the block available. So I've changed to this bar scale screen. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna let you drive. We're gonna insert the block, and that's on our draw menu. Oh, at the bottom or next to. Okay. And we'll now pull that down. And there's bar scale. It's alphabetical.
No,
There you go. And you see what's going on is you want to, the insertion point, you're telling it that you're going to show it on the screen. And the scale and rotation and all that. So you want the rotation to stay east, you want the scale to stay 1. So you uncheck those, but we will specify on the screen. Notice there's also that explode box on the left.
yeah,
Underneath all that. What that does is as if you had placed the block and then exploded it. Now you don't want to do that unless for whatever reason you need to separate the blocks out. It's just a shortcut way of doing it. So you're set to go. Say insert, and then you can roll the wheel and zoom in and out, all that. Where it's trying to place it is, wherever you're going to, now yes, perfect.
what do you think, like there?
Yeah, that looks good. All right, now you see what it's prompting you for. You don't see anything on the screen, but look at the status line, or the command line.
First dimension is 0.
Yeah.
Is that what I would want it to be?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's going to
Hit
start.
enter?
Yeah, just hit enter. And then second is 100, except this is going to be 80.
80.
And then that's going to be 160. And then
240.
I think that's right. If not, we'll fix it. Okay. I see. All right. So now I assumed it was going to have 0 to the where you're looking at 80. I thought was going to be 0, but what? So it was in a slightly different order. So that's no problem. Just like that little note in the lower left-hand corner, if you just double click it. And now let's look at that. So the first dimension, I want to make that 80. Except I would take the foot mark off. I'm going to say 80. Just put the number 80. All right. And then the second dimension, you make 0. And then the third is back to 80. And then the fourth will be 160. We'll say okay. And then what we would typically do is, well, let's pop this up a little bit over here. And I would want to do, because I haven't indicated any numbers or anything over this,
Right.
I would want to say, I wish I could find, I guess it's just right here. Let's do a standard text. My style will be just standard. Justify will be centered, and the center point of my text I'm going to put right there. My height is going to be 0.1. Rotation, and I would call it scale in feet. Now, the reason it's up that way, it's there because I wanted to make sure that it was centered under the center part of the bar. That's why it was up there, and I had to move it down. Okay. So there you go. There's your bar scale. Now, that's,
Okay. Can you just copy that to the other 2 drawings?
you can. I was going to say, but now let's take a look at something here. I want to measure this for a minute. This is 0.2 of an inch. That it could be construed to be a little fat. Let me see something. Scale Y. But the problem is when you differentially scaled that, you see what happened to the text? It squashed it.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is this. Oops, sorry. So I'm actually editing the graphic here itself. So I'm going to take all of that and scale it from here by, oh no, I can't do that. I can't differentially scale it with a scale command. I can only, all right, so what is this? You know what this is just a waste of time. It's fine as it is.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think we do. All right, so now to copy that and paste it onto the other sheets, you can't do a standard CAD copy. You're going to have to do a clipboard copy because this is to go between sheets, between layouts is just as if you're going between drawings. Okay, so you want to select both items. So select the scale. Well, you're going the wrong direction. You need to go the other direction. There you go. So select those guys. And now here's a little trick. When you're going to copy this and paste it on the other stuff, if you have some consistent location, for instance, we're going to use the left-hand edge of that black stripe on the underneath it. So we're going to right click and choose copy with base point, or under clipboard, go down toward the bottom and choose clipboard and copy with base point. And it's going to prompt you for a point. So just go over and click that leftmost. No. Right here. See the line on the title block that's above the words general notes? The cross right there. Yeah, that one. So click that. Okay, so now it's been copied. It's ready to go. I'm going to fix something here too before we go. Is that's not. It was a little bit shy of where it needed to be. All right. So now, because you have a reference point that's the same in both the other two sheets, go ahead and click lot 2 and scroll in down there where you can now right click and choose clipboard and choose paste. Yeah, you could also have done to original coordinates, but now get that. There you go. Now that's exactly in the same spot. Of course, you've got those points that you're going to freeze off in the model side. But that's exactly in the same spot as it is on the first sheet. And you can do the same thing on the third tab. And just say right click, clipboard, paste. Let it grab that endpoint. Okay. Now, when you flip through the pages, those scales will all be in the same spot and they'll all be consistent. Okay. And speaking of which, because I had changed that one, I'm going to go back to this first one. I'm going to grab that here and I'm going to use the same technique by clipboard copy with base point. There's my base point. I'll come here and I will paste. Whoops. Actually, first I'm going to get rid of the original. Now I'll paste. And I'll paste. Okay. So you getting some comfort in some of the things that you can do.
Yeah.
All right.
I just don't do it enough to
Oh yeah, I know.
remember. That's the problem.
Yeah. And you ought to try my life sometimes where you have to do this in 4 or 5 different programs. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that's, looks like a great start on that. I think you can wrap that stuff up and be ready for that one. And then I guess Thursday we can start on the other one.
Yeah, Thursday's the concept plan.
Yeah. Okay.
And I may
That's,
need to help you get me to finish some stuff on this, I don't know.
yeah, oh, that's fine. Yeah. And then Thursday's concept plan, we had that other one that we did,
Yes,
so we're gonna probably model from that one, just like we did this one.
yes,
Remember, we opened both drawings and we copied the layout and used that to be our canvas, right?
we've gotta go get, topography and location inset and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Which
All right.
hopefully we can use my new, fancy Carlson GIS software to do.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, that'll be some some really handy capability that you'll have in a number of ways. Some that's going to allow you to get exact coordinate placements on things, and others that are going to be, you know what, all I need is a Google image just for close.
Yeah. Hey, where did that, tool palette come from?
Well, it's part of the software. If it has some of the commands and stuff on it, and they're the same commands that are typically in your toolbars, or some of the same.
I mean, how did it turn on?
Um, I don't really know offhand, probably through, let me see if it was right here. See that right there?
Yeah.
So if you right click in that gray space where your toolbars are stacked up and it says tool palettes, if you just click on it so it goes away, I think. Is it letting you? Let's see. No. I guess it's not a toggle. Well, anyway, if we wanted to turn it off, you can, if you just hover the mouse and you see this X,
Okay,
it's closed off. So that gives you more room. Now, if you wanted it back on, then of course you would go here and turn it on. Okay, or turn it off.
okay,
All right.
okay, very good.
All right, sir.
Finished a little bit early.
Well, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Okay,
And but now, so here's your assignment to finish this stuff up. Is you've got building edits to make. You've got those straight points to remember. There's no need to erase them. Just put them on that frozen layer.
right,
You've got your joiners or any other kind of things. And here's a heavier text. Here's stuff for joiners. So label that stuff. And then double check. This is what I always forget to do. Double check all of this stuff here for
Yep.
each lot and make sure that they say what you want them to say. Don't forget to sign and date.
Yep.
All right. And that should do you. Oh, I'll do this for you. Save. All right. Okay, my friend,
okay, thanks very much.
you are most welcome. And I
See you
will,
Thursday.
that will be lovely. And call me or email or whatever tonight, tomorrow, if you get stuck on stuff, you don't have to wait till Thursday. So,
Very good.
all right,
Appreciate that very much.
you bet. I'll stop the recording. I'll post you a link here when it gets transferred up.
Are you putting it all on your, YouTube page?
Yes.